Good evening, I'm Rachel Maddow. Tonight we begin with a shocking story out of West Long Branch, New Jersey, a small town whose mayoral election is now rife with scandal due to an assassination attempt on Paul Delarusso, a write-in independent candidate. Mr. Delarusso claims Mary Gilbride, the heavily favored incumbent, orchestrated the shooting, which occurred during the opening remarks of their first town hall debate. State officials now say that Mr. Delarusso actually staged the assassination upon himself. Mr. Delarusso is here with us tonight to discuss the charges. Thank you for joining us. We heard you almost didn't make it tonight.
I requested transportation from Northern Jersey to D.C. from your studio, and I was denied, so I had to hoof it. Made for quite the unimpressive cavalcade.
Right. Just to be clear, going to D.C. was your idea. We could have shot in your house.
Well, I can't. My house is flooded, all right?
So what is your response to these allegations that you framed Miss Gilbride?
I'm sorry, alleged allegations. My response is no, I did not do that.
Mr. Delarusso, there is footage of you after you were shot in the abdomen of you saying, and I quote, "I said to use blanks, goddammit, I said use blanks."
All right, to be frank, I had some hard-boiled eggs that morning something was a little off.
So you're blaming an extremely incriminating admission of guilt on eggs?
Well, one of the eggs had a beak, which is insane. I had 12. The beak one was the second one.
Do you know somebody who goes by the name of Putty Nose?
Yeah, that's my Uncle Paulie, and my god-uncle Paulie. And technically he's my brother's uncle as well.
Mr. Delarusso, an email surfaced in which you offer him 1 year's worth of Aunt Marie's turkey meatballs for shooting me like we've been practicing on Buck Hunter.
So I think that went really well, and that rehearsal looks good. So we'll start taping now, and maybe you could be a little less confrontational.
We have been live on the air for the past 5 minutes. So do you have any evidence whatsoever that Miss Gilbride was behind the shooting?
Rachel, some people would send an Olive Branch in this situation, but not me. I said, F that and sent her a $100 gift certificate to the Olive Garden. And Nurse Jackie on Blu-ray. So, to my knowledge, it's been completely resolved.
But just to be clear, you have been subpoenaed and are due in court next week?
That is correct.
And David Schwimmer has a restraining order against you.
I plead temporary insanity on that one. Not to mention I'm Italian, so open mouth kissing is part of my culture.
Also, your son was running for hall monitor?
Paulie Jr., or the fifth, if you want to count my grandpa as a person.
Yes, you essentially mastermind a mudslinging campaign turning fifth graders into birthers.
We looked into the authenticity of Alejandro's bid, and it turns out he didn't...
Mr. Delarusso, are you all right?
It's just that the wound has gone septic. I'm leaking stomach acid into my chest cavity.
They haven't extracted the bullet yet? Frankly, that looks like the suit you were wearing during the attack.
No time for R&R when on the campaign trail, you know what I mean? As soon as this rehearsal's over, we'll get into talking about the issues, get down to the nitty-gritty. So we're cut on rehearsal, let's roll.
Do you have any discernible campaign platform?
Yes, we're running on Team Jacob currently.
A lot of people have said that they...
And branches should be lower, so you can see squirrels at eye level whenever you're walking down the street.
Okay, well, let's talk about what's next for your campaign. A Marist poll suggests that you are 45 points behind Miss Gilbride.
Those sound like some fuzzy numbers orchestrated by liberal Illuminati. I've been doing research of my own over at Camp Delarusso, and it turns out I'm up 6 points with Klonopin users, up 2.5 points with women who suffer from postpartum depression, and I'm up $1.50 with guys who own above-ground pools. And that's huge for me, okay? I got politics in my blood. My Nona was Mussolini's mistress. I've got photographic evidence of that. Now, I'm not asking for mayorship of West Long Branch. I'm taking mayorship of West Long Branch. And then from there, it's the White House. From there, it's Madagascar, which leads to an entire African invasion.
Mr. Paul Delarusso, thank you very much for coming in.
That felt really great. So if I could just get those tapes, and if you know anyone who knows Avid, I could cut it together.
We're on live TV. I cannot reiterate that enough.
Do you think you could send a car to D.C.?
No, you didn't have to leave Jersey.
Tell them to pick me up at the Shell station.